you say gotcha to all of us, or is it genuine 2 blokes out?
Oh, no, we've got 2 blokes out.
The date,
Sorry?
Considering the date of April.
Yeah, no, funnily enough, I had my playing group do something a little bit similar to me this morning, and they're playing around with a bloke called Wingard, and made me feel like he was injured, but we already had the information on the other 2 boys, so April 1 came around.
So can you work us through what's happened to both of them? I think we understand the hardware one, but the short one.
Yeah, pretty simple. Hammer's got some hamstring awareness. It's too early in the season to take any risk with him. He's got a history, so we straight away give him every opportunity. And this morning when he got there was some simple tests, wasn't ready, so we're not going to play. And Jay was one off the back of last week's game, pulled up with a sore back. Done some training on Wednesday, and got halfway through the training on Wednesday, and I'm still pretty sore. Typical back, we thought it would settle down, but it hasn't.
So John, does that make you rethink what you might have to do with yours?
Not really. No, the 2 boys they brought in Young and Dougal, Howard, the first gamer, they're like-for-like replacements. So for us, we spoke about it after training when we became aware of it, and we'll continue on our plan.
Yeah, it's always exciting when you get a first gamer, and we've sort of got 2 for Port tomorrow with Jimmy as well. But Jimmy's is, it's not his first AFL game, and for Doogs, very exciting. He has said, sorry about the plane. Look, it's exciting. There's no doubt. Anytime you get a first gamer in your club, it creates some excitement. Obviously, being a showdown in Adelaide, it's even more significant for us. And we got 2 boys taking the field for the first time, and we look forward to their opportunity to play tomorrow. Yep. Yeah, no, that's what I'm like. I'll tell you what, the facts. Before Christmas, I would have thought that he was a long, long way away from playing AFL football. We got the news of Paddy and Gus' situation. It elevated Dougal into a position that he was a little bit unfamiliar with. But his growth from the time he went in there in January has just been, quite amazing.
So what do you ask him? Do you ask him to play as a ruckman as well, or is it too early?
If he needs to play as a ruckman, he will. But he'll play as a forward, and then he'll spend some time probably in the ruck, as will probably Jacko. We know the talent of Jacobs in the ruck, and we're very mindful of that.
What does he bring? He's got that right playing in the ruck. What are the things that have impressed you in the off-season?
Oh, look, we just like the way he goes. He just brings effort. He's not the most talented player ever to play AFL football. There's no doubt about that. But he just works really hard, and we're typical with any young person. Their obligation is to play for the team, and with a young player, that's what they give you more often than not. They come in and just do team roles really well, and we expect that that's what Dougal will do.
Does it become maybe easier is not the word, but how different does it become for you to deal with a Dougal Howard rather than a Jay Short, when we noted they had 3 big forwards that you had to match up on?
It changes obviously marginally. I think from a size viewpoint, we're still dealing with the same size. Just obviously different in terms of experience, but I think as Ken's just mentioned, you expect a young guy in his first game who's in to play a role will come in and do that. So we'll prepare, expect him to play that role, and we'll plan accordingly.
Do you change your matchups? Do they get a rethink?
No, well the matchups, the guys will roll over as they normally do. So we'll adjust as we need to down there, based upon the 3 talls. There might be times where there's not 3 talls on the ground, so we'll adjust around that as we need to.
So how much of a test of your team defence does this game become very quickly?
Sorry, in terms of...
If your whole emphasis on team defence rather than just defender on forward?
Oh, well, it's in every game. I think your team defence, as Ken would acknowledge, the team defence starts as soon as the ball turns over, wherever it turns over. It's in your forward line, your forwards and our defenders. And that's not going to change based on tomorrow's game. It'll be the same for us for tomorrow's game and throughout the year. It's as I said last week after the game, it's a work in progress, and it's something which we've identified we need to keep getting better at. And we've got some really good review out of last weekend's game, and we get another chance to have a go tomorrow.
Don, how does the showdown compare with the Western Derby?
Well, very similar, obviously, two-team town. You've got this natural almost enemy. Not that it is an enemy, but it is a natural enemy in your own town. So, look, they're great games. They come with a higher level of excitement, anticipation from the fans and the players. And so, again, we expect no different tomorrow.
Dan, do you have any advice for Don ahead of his first Showdown?
Absolutely none. No, Don's been around plenty of times, and as you said, he's been to Western Australia, he's been in Adelaide before, he knows what showdowns and derbies are like, so no, he doesn't need too much advice, I don't think.
Probably a combination. Like last week we went smaller with Hardigan missing out. This week, looking at Port's forward line and probably assessing the game from last week, we felt bringing Cole back in was the right balance and mix for us, and that gives Nathan a chance to go back and play some footy and continue to build on the work he's done throughout the pre-season. But it's a bit of horses for courses to some degree.
Is there a ruthlessness we'll expect then from the guys? If one bad hiccup and the side goes down, then your spot's in jeopardy?
I don't think it's ruthlessness. I think it's more just the reality of selection. We're in a really fortunate position at the moment. We've got, I think, 20 guys playing SANFL footy on Sunday. So we've got good depth in our list. We've got opportunity, guys who are putting pressure on for spots. So I wouldn't say it's ruthless. I'd say it's more just, as I said, the situation for this week. But it's clear that there's pressure on guys to continue to perform to keep their spot, and that's healthy.
So what advice are you giving Nathan as to what he's got to show to win back his place in the AFL?
For Nathan, it's more about just going back and playing his role and playing the way we know he's capable of playing. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying Nathan's terribly out of form. Nathan played reasonably last week and was pretty good through our NAB Cup period. For him, it's now about going back and just continuing to build on that and push his name up again as early as next week. What was his role? Oh, he was playing half back as a sort of a running defender on a sort of a medium small player. That's what he's been doing.
Oh, no, I think they're evolving as a football club. I think they're still quite a young football team, and they're taking on some new information. And small sample size at the moment. You acknowledge that they're trying to move the ball a bit quicker. There's no doubt about that. I don't think they're that different to what we're trying. We're trying to move the ball quick, and we're trying to defend really hard at our end of the ground if we can possibly do that. So, I think the Crows are what they are. We probably have a good understanding of them. The trick is to stop that.
Don, Ken spoke about a no risk policy with Hartlett. Do you buy into any of that with Tex Walker having that foot soreness still this week?
Oh yeah, look, we wouldn't be taking any risks, and Tex, that was precautionary and early in the week, so he's come through that. He's feeling fine. Spoke to him today, and he's ready to go.
Ken, after you've had more time to look over what happened on Sunday, has it made you rethink anything, and particularly that interest that everyone has about the way you're using the defence and pushing it up so much?
No, not at all. But we've got a model that we play to, and we've been playing to that for 3 and a bit years now, and we'll continue to play to it. And we keep saying we won't change the way we go about things. We'll try to get better at the way we do things. But if you're worried about seeing some turnovers from Port Adelaide, stop worrying, because they're going to happen. We're going to try and limit them, but they're going to happen. And we'll continue to play hopefully 4 strong quarters, and that's what we plan to do.
Was there a thought when you looked at it again as to why they turned out the count so?
Oh no, there's a bit of us and there's a bit of St Kilda. As I said straight after the game, St Kilda's pressure was pretty good, and our ability sometimes let ourselves down with execution. That's it's a challenge in every game of football. A game of football is not perfect. Everyone expects it to be perfect, but it's never perfect. There's mistakes, and if we could just sit back and go, you know what, there's mistakes made by every side. It's sometimes how many of those mistakes you make.
So how much do you model what you want to do?
I reckon we'd both answer this the same way. I think we'd say we do what we need to do to play our best style of football, and the opponent is in the way. We have to acknowledge that, but we've got to stick to what we know best ourselves.
When do you think you have an advantage over Adelaide? I think some are suggesting perhaps it's where do you see
Probably have to wait till game day tomorrow, I think, to see that. Look, we recognise, as Ken said, we recognise that both teams come in with strengths and weaknesses, and for us it's about playing the way we want to play, recognising how Port want to play, and looking for ways we can exploit their style of play. But let's if you cut to the chase, the game fundamentally, especially a showdown early, it's going to be about the contest, and it's going to be about pressure on the ball and all those things, and I expect both teams will be aiming to bring that.
So what's kept you awake most of the night?
What's kept me awake at night? Probably too many coffees, but
But is there a theme to the game that you've concentrated on?
look again. We look at all areas of the game, and again, you're sort of in this phase now where it's week to week, where you're assessing what worked for you last week, what you need to improve on, and then you're assessing the opposition coming up, and that's going to be an ongoing challenge week in, week out. And through that, as Ken said, we come with a plan that we think is capable of beating beating Port Adelaide tomorrow.
What about when you've conceded more than 100 points, which is not your goal? How do
No.
you work through that?
Well, it's only one game, so yeah. Oh, look, we looked at some areas, and look, some of that was our own doing. You know, we look back at that, and you know, through the 50-metre penalties, and you know, a free kick before it goes back to centre bounce, we can control that. And there's 3 goals straight away that pushes us back under 100. And you know, the game will change this year. I think we're already seeing some of that. Whether it continues in the same way in terms of the volume of scoring, I don't know. But clearly the game, first round, suggested it was more open-ended, more inside 50s, therefore more score. So whether that number changes, but again, from a team defence viewpoint, we want to be able to stop the team scoring and do it effectively from all areas of the ground.
Does that make you both nervous if the game's going to be attacking high scoring footy?
No, it doesn't make me nervous. We don't set out to let them score high, but we try to challenge them as much as we can. When we've got the ball, I think if the game evolves a little and it becomes a little more high scoring, I think most people outside the fence would be pretty happy with that. Even I think Don and myself would be pretty happy with that if we're watching that game, not involved in that game. But overall, I don't think it's a bad thing for the game of football. You watch though, the teams will figure it out. Teams will get their defence right, and it won't be as free flowing as it was last week. As Don said, it was round 1, good weather, everything's good, everyone's feeling really fresh. There's some excitement in the air. People play a bit that way, I think.
Have the players given any feedback about how they think they should be used with the 90 rotations after now experiencing it under high pressure?
We've had a few players. Yeah, we speak to them about how their rotations work for them. This is now second game. We had the NAB 3 game and then round 1, so it's a work in progress. And we set a rotation policy based on what we think the athletic capability is of the players. But sometimes the game gives them something different. You know, next minute they're in a high intensity period of the game and they might need a spell earlier than we'd forecast. So we get feedback from them and we adjust our plans accordingly. And that'll be the case through the whole year, I would have thought.
Have you given any other advice to Eddie Betts about how he should play this game, particularly after last week where he was staying so much high up the ground?
Oh, well, Eddie will play the game as Eddie plays the game, and he's a unique talent, and then he can play deep forward, he can play high forward. So we'll keep using him in various roles in that capacity.
Don, do you worry about any of the so-called showdown specialists, guys like Justin Westhoff, Chad Wingard, who have been particularly damaging against the Crows in the recent years?
No, I mean, look, showdown specialists, I guess it's the same in Perth. You talk about guys who perform well. For me, that's guys who rise to the occasion, who want to perform well on the big stage, and we've got a number of those in our team as well. So, that's one of the challenges both teams will face tomorrow, and the players in both teams will have, is that the game has slightly higher significance, and therefore you want your better players to play well.
Don, is it more serious statistically, sides that go 0-2 on their ones played performance in the last 5 years? Does that make it?
Oh, look, I think the game will be the game. I was unaware of that stat, but reality for us is we prepare and come tomorrow playing to win on the basis that's what we want to achieve. We'll deal with what that might mean afterwards if we don't get that result.
Don, Ken's been very strong on the illicit drug policy, and we haven't heard what your view is. If you were to view on the events of the past week and where the policy should go?
It's a difficult one because I think there's a bit of uncertainty in my eyes about exactly what obviously that testing has evoked in terms of numbers and response and what that really means. So,
Have you asked for it in your club?
no,
Do you want to ask for it?
I made a point ask. Look, the reality is the testing is there for me around the education of the players, around the welfare of the players, which is paramount for us going forward. And as a club and as an industry, we need to work with the Players Association, in my view, to be really clear of what the aim of the testing is and to ensure that this is not a problem that we're dealing with, but it is a wider community issue. We recognise that our players are members of the community, and this is an issue we're dealing with as a society. So we're vigilant on it. We're educating as we can. And look, we don't want drugs in sport, but that's something we've got to continue to work through as an industry.
It's a really simplistic attitude, but if you can ask a player whether he's had a beer or not, then you can ban him, but you can't go with the other dark mode. Is that a bit of inconsistency or hypocrisy in our game?
I hadn't really thought about it like that, to be honest. I think there's a component within that from a Players Association that you have to address them in terms of how that policy's come about and how it works.